there. I'm Tina, and we're two old chicks who know a lot of shit. I'm here with my partner, Wanda. Hey, Wanda.
Hey Tina, how are you, birthday girl? Welcome to 72.
Oh, thank you very much. 72 feels just fine. And just like you said, you told me that it would. And just like I said, girl, I celebrated every day in November.
I think I recall you talking about that. What you do every day?
I sat in the sun. I bought some colorful plants. I went to the ocean regularly. Thank you, Wanda. Wanda was the person who reminded me that I lived on an island. I started reading books, one fiction, one nonfiction. I worked on my novel, my own fiction. I participated in a Zoom book club with my girl Wanda for her book, Coming Full Circle, From Jim Crow to Journalism. When I write in coming, it gives me the whole thing, Wanda. So I typed coming full circle long enough that my computer knows it. And it was with my Spelman sisters. We had a book club meeting, and it was
Right.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I
With our hey Tina, with our seasoned filming sisters.
Yeah, they actually have a committee called the Season the Committee. Am I right?
That's right.
Okay, well, I guess y'all gonna just drag me into season. Maybe it's a 72 thing.
Probably.
We'll find out. I fulfilled a promise that I had given to one of my little schoolgirls. Wanda, I went shopping online. Oh, I had such a good time. And I just hadn't been doing it. And it wasn't for anything big. It was just some scented candles that I wanted and things like that. But I love for boxes to come to my front door. So that was fine. So I bought some bird seed and some other stuff. So I'd have boxes almost every day. I bought, some stuff that I needed. Stuff.
Yeah.
But also, you and I are both in that purging mode. For the end of the year, we have been cleaning and purging and feeling good and making space for new stuff. So I bought some new useful stuff, but we have been purging, doing some serious purging on that end. So I got some new stuff and I got rid of some old stuff. It was a good.
Hey Tina, when I purged so much this past week, because I had some work done on some floors and I had to clean out closets so that the workers could get to the floors. And my garbage can was so overstuffed. I'm sure the garbage men, the people who collect our garbage are like, whoa, what are they doing? Did they, like add 5 people to their family or what? Because it was overflowing. So purging is a good thing. That's what I've been doing.
Purging is a very good thing. And it gets you to appreciate the things that you do have, the ones that things that are dear to you. I'm like you though, Wanda. When I roll the trash barrel out to the street, I went, what do I have in here? It was heavier than just about any time I've ever done it. And for my birthday month, I had visitors.
I wonder who that was.
That was my friend Wanda and her friend she is no longer than she has known me, and that was Virginia Law. She came along. She's my Spelman sister, our Spelman sister, and she had missed the barbecue trip. We have a wonderful barbecue place on the island.
We got barbecue. We went to lunch. We went to the ocean.
We saw the lighthouse. We saw some historical sites. We just had a good time, but mostly we just hung out and we laughed and took silly pictures and talked and did what always feeds our soul. We were just with our sisters. We were with our friends. So it was really wonderful. It really did. You celebrated me with me and on my birthday, celebrated with me in spirit, and I'm grateful.
It felt really good. It felt good to be there. It felt good to show Virginia the island because she hadn't been there for many, many years. I think she said she was a child the last time she saw St. Simon's Island. So it felt really good to be together. We're just glad that we're together again.
Yeah. It takes a tragedy of this magnitude, I guess, for us to just stop for a little bit and say, that was fun. That was fun. We enjoyed that. We're together again. And I also got to know Virginia a little bit better because, Virginia and I have been in together in like snippets, and ceremonies and that kind of thing. We've never really sat across the table and talked. I took you to one of my favorite restaurants. And so
it was good.
Long that the owner's little Delaney's is a wonderful restaurant.
We all had scallops. It was very good.
It was very good. And I know I got the last lobster salad.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. It was a special trip. Thank you, Wanda. Love you so much. Thank you for celebrating with me.
Well, just come on into 72 because we're all there. So you're
The
one of the last ones.
fine. Come on in, right?
Come on in.
So far, I'm loving 72. I'm grateful for 72.
Good. Well, you know what? It's a good thing we're into December now. So, let's go ahead and focus on the December holiday season and the new year ahead. We're moving on.
Okay. November's over. I got that. I got fed enough. I'm ready for the Christmas holiday season. For our last episode of Two Old Chicks, which this is, we have 12 episodes that we
last episode this year.
This year, I'm so sorry. The last episode for 2021. We have we've been so thrilled that you've been with us and joined, and we have a lot of things planned for next year. But we are going to do something special this time. We are going to dispense with two of our regular features, Dropping Some Wisdom and our check-in. And we're going to have just a conversation about holiday traditions and bring back some of the old school ways that we celebrated and to talk about the ways that we celebrated. And I also want to talk about some new traditions. We have a new year coming up too. So I'm ready. I'm ready. Maybe maybe a bit of wisdom will come in there somewhere. We can. I don't think we old chicks can talk without dropping some wisdom. So you ready, Wanda?
I am ready. I sure am. Let's go.
Okay.
So, like Tina said, we're going to talk about some holiday traditions. And I think we want to start, Tina, by talking about some of the traditions we had growing up. What did we do as young people?
That's fun.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking on it. We were just little old chicks for a while, and I was thinking that we have lived long enough that some of these traditions even may seem old and quaint to you, or So with me, we had 5 children in the house. Did you notice Wanda just gave me the hurry up sign?
No, I thought you were saying. Here's what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say we some of the traditions are so quaint, and some of them are coming back. And I was
coming back. Okay. I apologize, but that is true. We've had them so long that they were fads when we were doing, and now they're back again. That's funny. Well, in my house, I'm the youngest of 5 children, so there are 5 children in the house. And the first memory that comes to mind, it may not be quite the Christmassy memory that you would expect, but it's my older brothers, Charles and Walter. It's Charles and Walter setting up and decorating the tree because they were tall and they could reach the high points, and they could bring in the heavy tree. Mom always wanted a tree to the ceiling, and so that's Charles and Walter putting up the tree and decorating. Then there's Charles and Walter, having an argument, a little disagreement, and they're fighting, and we're in the other room, and we hear something in the Christmas out in the hall where the tree is, and we come out and we find Walter and Charles fighting and tussling near the tree. Then it's Charles and Walter toppling to the floor along with a beautifully decorated. It happens so often, Wanda. I know you don't think that you would think that we would have warned them or something, but it became kind of a tradition, not necessarily the tree falling over, but an emergency. It was scorching the gravy, or accidentally finding. Oh, that's a good one. Accidentally finding what we were giving each other. I found my older sister's stash, and she had some really nice gift for us, and she was heartbroken when she found out that I had gotten in there. So, that was sort of the emergency. It was sort of, it became a tradition with us sort of accidentally looking for the accident, seeing the mishap, but laughing about it, even looking for it, because we'd say like, oh, good, Mama scorched the gravy. Okay, that's it. Nothing else is going to happen. It was like a talisman, and we would say, once that had happened. But, I think about it now, and even looking at instances, that may be a little bit more serious than the tree coming over. But, during the holidays, it's a good idea, not to split
But wait a minute, Tina, I have to ask a question about the tree. So you had a live tree every time? Every year?
time.
Okay. Yeah. Because in my family, we never had live trees. When I was young, when I was very young, I think I was about 8 years old, it was the first year I went to live with my Aunt Catherine and her husband, the man I call Daddy, and we went out to the woods to cut down a tree.
Oh, now, you do.
This was very non-traditional for a man who was an undertaker. He's out there in his suit, his black suit with a
You gotta be kidding.
I'm serious as a heart attack.
Oh my goodness.
And it was the first time they ever did it. But since they had a child in the house for the first time, because they didn't have children of their own, and I came to live with them, they decided that they were going to try to do something very traditional and cut down a tree. And my family owned some land out in the country, in the next county over, Effingham County, Georgia. And so they went out to the property with the saw to cut down. It was one of our own trees, a lot of trees.
Yeah, I was going to ask, where did you go to do this? This is a new, excuse me, folks, this is a whole new story to me. I've never heard this before. Please, Wanda, please continue.
Well, that's when we discovered, when we got the tree on top of the car, and then we got the tree back home and we dragged it in the house and set it up. That's when we discovered that I'm allergic to pine. Yeah. Who knew? So really? we never ever had a live tree again. We kept it up, but I was itching and I was sneezing the whole time, and that's when we discovered that. So every year after that, we had this little. You remember the aluminum trees, Tina?
Yes, I do.
The little silver trees with the little color wheel on it, and you.
Right, and it would turn different colors.
You put a light bulb behind the color wheel, and it would be yellow, and then it would be blue, and then it would be red, and then it would be green. That was the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen for Christmas. But that was, it was kind of all the rage.
Did you love it when you were little?
No, not really.
Really?
Not really. Because my tree didn't look like everybody else's tree. It didn't even look like a bad artificial tree. I don't even know if they had green artificial trees. They probably did. I don't remember.
Sure. Yeah, people had artificial trees they kept every year.
Yeah. Oh God. We kept that little wheel for, I bet we kept that tree up at least 5 years. I mean, I might be wrong, because when you're little, you don't really know. Time doesn't mean anything. Yeah. But I just remember every year going up to the attic, dragging that little tree down and the wheel and setting it up and making sure the light bulb worked and plugging it in, and we would just sit there and look at the tree be all red, and then you'd sit there and a little while it's all yellow, and then it's all green.
That sounds like the loveliest tradition, because you didn't have a live tree, but y'all, when you were saying dragging it down from the attic, I said, that's a tradition right there, because if you drag something down from the attic one time, that means you've done it more than twice.
I guess. So that was our tree. So I have not had a live tree since that first year.
That'll be good if nobody going to be sending you any Christmas wreaths or Christmas little decorations. How they send. I guess they still send them. You have that would be delivered with pine things and candles and all of it. None of that for you.
Well, yeah, I have one friend who sent us a pine wreath every year for about maybe at least 5 or 6 years in a row. And I knew it was coming every year. So every year the box would come and I would hand it to my husband, right off the porch, and he would have to open it and he would hang it up. And we usually put it inside because it did kind of smell nice, but it did make me sick. But I think I eventually told her that I was allergic. But listen, you were, did you get skates for Christmas?
Oh boy, that's one of my best. I think that's everybody's memory from that age. Not just roller skates. The next morning the morning of Christmas, you try out all your new stuff, your bikes, your whatever was outside. And I remember the streets, because it was Christmas, being so bare, and so we skated on the street. I don't know if y'all did. And then we had in Macon, we had a couple of high heels that some of the more adventurous skaters would do. But what I remember is that sound all over the neighborhood, because these are roller skates, and this was on concrete or on asphalt. Yeah. What about you? Y'all,
we couldn't skate in the street. My folks wouldn't let. We had sidewalks, but the sidewalks had cracks in them, and I swear the same crack. They had these big old we still do. Big old oak trees on the side that the roots started
Yeah.
pulling up so we had to hop over the
Root.
break, the roots
Yeah.
and the break it. And they have not fixed those sidewalks to this day because
Well,
they haven't cut down the trees. So the roots are
I was
still
going to
there.
say, it's been long enough so that now it's quaint. It's something that they point out to the tourists,
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter because kids don't go out and skate anymore. They don't. They're inside with their tablets and their games and all that stuff.
They get inside stuff. Maybe that may be a little bit of a drop of wisdom. Buy your kids something outside for outside. Buy them something to get them away from the away from the computer. I know that one of the things that we always got in our stockings, because we had stockings, and we put them up every year, and the 5 kids and mom and daddy on the end, and we had a fireplace usually, and so I love the stockings, and the stockings would be hanging there, and you would anticipate what was going to be in it, besides nuts and oranges and all those candies, all those kinds of things. Mama would always put a little something special, either she had made or something that she knew we liked, and we have our annual Christmas story from my mother, telling us every single year that when she was little, it was during the Depression and people had nothing. They were so poor, and she got an orange for Christmas, and her friends got oranges, and they were so happy. They have them and they play with them all, and then they'd run out and sit out on the side. And she would always tell this story because we would have so much stuff, and she would look around at what we had, and she would say, "Be grateful for all this."
But Tina, we got oranges. I remember shopping for oranges, but nobody ever told me the story about that, about the Depression era, and that was their only gift. So I bet that's why we had so many oranges. And when people would come by the house, when I was growing up in the 50s and the 60s, we would always have oranges to give them. Oranges and some other fruit, but most of the time it was oranges. So maybe that's where that came from, and some nuts sometimes, some little bags of pecans. Yeah.
Well, we forget that those things were luxuries. Lemons and oranges, those, they had to be, crated in from somewhere. We weren't buying in Macon and maybe in Savannah they were, but not. So it was. I think it really, oranges always remind me actually of that Christmas stocking, because it would go all the way to the end. The orange would be all the way to the end with the nuts, because it was heavy. It's a good thing to remember, to be grateful. As my mama would say, be grateful for all of this. And she meant, just everything, the food, the family, everything. One thing that I do have to say is midnight mass, because I'm Catholic. And midnight mass is something I wanted to do. The grown-ups would go to it, and then you'd have to go to sleep. So you kind of had to wait till Santa, the Santa myth was gone. And the first time I went to midnight mass, because it's just so beautiful.
Wait a minute. Did you say Santa myth?
Myth?
Is it a myth? Because we might have some children listening.
I think that's the question that's always there. Whenever we talk about your friend Virginia, in my head I always say, "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus." I think about that every time she says it. So yeah, so midnight mass was a big deal because the grown-ups went to it, and it meant that I was grown up enough to go to but of course I fell asleep like the first 2 or 3 times, because I wasn't used to being up to midnight mass. But you'd have the people who had been celebrating a little too much, and they promised their mama they would go to midnight mass. So the back rows were just full of folks, and they were always usually like drunk or a little, it's, the back rows were for the people who were celebrating. So that was a tradition, and a tradition I look forward to. It was because the mass also was a high mass, and it was so beautiful. That's why, so many people came, and choirs were, as practicing all year long for the Christmas, concert, or for the Christmas mass. So, that's pretty much it. I think.
So now for the rest of my life, I'm going to have this image of drunk Catholics on the back row. And that's part of Christmas tradition. Okay. Thank you very much for clarifying that.
Ask any Catholic that grew up Catholic, and they will tell you that is exactly it. As a matter of fact, when I was on the island, since we've been on the island, St. William's is a Catholic church on the island, and we were out partying with friends one night, and Shanae looked up and said, "Oh my goodness, it's almost midnight. Got to go to midnight mass." And so our friends were not Catholic, and so we just kind of got wherever we were. We got them in the car and we drove there, and two of them we were all had been drinking and celebrating, and one of my friends said, "I cannot believe she walked us all the way up to the front row pew of that church, and we had to sit up there drunk in the front row and hold our heads over." Oh, it was just so funny. So I mean, that's sort of a tradition. We weren't drunk, but we were a little tipsy, and that was our pew. The front row was our pew. So we just went up to our pew, but they did not want to be seen at midnight mass being a little tipsy.
Okay, so Tina, we're about halfway into our time for this particular episode. So why don't we talk about traditions in our adult family years?
Let's move into the adult years.
All right. So
tell me about yours.
My husband loves Christmas. He said he was the main decorator in his family growing up. So when we got married, he sort of went crazy with the Christmas decorations outside. His thing was outside, mine was inside. So there were lights and trees everywhere. But the thing I remember most is we built a house, a brand new house. And, it had little trees in the yard because it was new property, and the builder would put these little trees. And so he was so proud that he could put the trees all the way on the top. And then as the tree started growing, he had to invent this thing to keep like a big pole with a hook on it to get the light. And then after a while, he was, I'm going to use this word, he was flummoxed about how he was going to get these lights up to the top of the tree. So I just had visions of him maybe calling in the fire department or something, but that didn't happen. But one other thing that happened was he loved, you remember when the reindeers started becoming popular, the little reindeers and the heads would bob up and down and stuff like that. And somebody stole our reindeer.
Really? Well, they really had the Christmas spirit, huh?
They really did. So the next year, he came out with a big old chain, like a length of chain, and a padlock. He was locking it. He was
locking down the reindeer, because what? Once burned,
not to be outdone. But we were, but I love Christmas parties, Tina, and we were always good for at least one Christmas party every year. Just sometimes it would be neighbors, sometimes it would be co-workers, people that we worked with, that we would invite. We always had at least 2 artificial Christmas trees in the house. So we just tried to make it really festive and invite people. And on Christmas Day, we would have his family, because we lived in Northern Virginia most of the time in our earlier years. And his family would come over. So there would be lots and lots of people on Christmas Day, opening presents and laughing and having fun and music. And so I will end it here. His favorite song, he and his sister, Christmas song, was this. How'd You Like to Have Christmas on Christmas Island by Leon Redbone. We could not have Christmas without the two of them putting it on the tape recorder or whatever the device was at the time, and sing every word of How'd You Like to Have Christmas.
Again? What's the title?
How'd you like to have Christmas on Christmas Island?
How'd
you like to have Christmas on Christmas Island? I don't know all the words, but it's a Leon Redbone.
You should know all the words by now, actually.
I should. I really should.
Tells you how you drowned it out,
Yeah. So what about you? What are some of your, adult Christmas traditions?
Oh, in our house, you were just saying that your husband, Lloyd, loves Christmas. I think Shanae may have outdone him. Lloyd grew up in a big family. He had brothers and sisters and cousins, and Shanae's an only child. And so he loves, you talk about loving Christmas. He took it, I thought I liked it. We took it to a whole nother level. He's a Cancer, and he loves, he's the only child like you. and he loves his home and being comfortable. But boy, in the holidays, he wanted to get out. He said that people were not, people are nice, or he loved to go out and speak to people. Oh gosh, he'd like to see the Santa Clauses. He'd go up and talk to them, and do silly things. He loved it. We loved to decorate. We spent. Oh, he loved to go out into the malls. The only time he liked to go into the malls, we were outside a store that was sort of a store that sort of cheap store, and inexpensive store. And it was a strip mall, and I was going in to get something for him, I think, to wrap something. And he said, he didn't want to go in there because he didn't like it. It smelled like the stores when he was little, where the people weren't nice to them when they walked in, customers in New York, and he didn't like it. So I said, well, okay, I don't have that memory. So I went and got my wrapping or whatever. I wasn't in there long. I came out, he had this big Christmas smile on his face. I said, what? He said, I love this store. I said, why? He said, you should have seen the little kids. You could tell that they weren't, well dressed, and they didn't have much. He said, but they were coming out for that Christmas. They were just so happy, little kids. He said he had never seen. He said everybody who came out of that store was happy. So our tradition was we would go and sit outside the store in the evening sometimes and just watch, because he was right. People would come out, they found stuff they'd been able to afford, they didn't think they were going to have Christmas. And so, that was really one of the, really nice things that Shanae brought to me. But he liked the eggnog, the spice, the spice.
Oh, yeah, I love eggnog.
The cookies, the cookies on the special cookie plate, and all the rest. He made up for, and also going home to see my family, because he was an only child, and he loved that there were 5 kids in our family, and we had, grandchildren and all the rest. And he loved sitting around the Christmas table. And my mother, that was really the center of my mother cooking the meal. That was the center of Christmas for me. And so he liked all of that. He liked all of that. What about you?
Well, the only other thing that we didn't talk about is because we have a daughter, having a child in the house, like you say, seeing Christmas through the eyes of children is really, really special. But we always tried to surprise her with gifts. And I am still finding out, like as recent as maybe 3 or 4 months ago, some of the things that she found Christmas gifts that we thought we hid well, and she found it anyway.
You always find it. It's even worse when you're not snooping around and you accidentally run across something. Oh, you go, look, don't say anything. Put it back. We don't want anybody to know about it. Christmas. Of course, everybody says when you were a child, Christmas was mystical. To you. But you and I were lucky enough to have mates who loved that time of year and made it mystical for us. Do we have time for me to tell you this one quick story about
real quick?
Real quick. Okay. The tradition that Shanae had when he was my husband, when he was growing up, is that Santa Claus decorated the tree. The tree was up, but it wasn't decorated. And I had never thought, I said, oh, that must be wondrous on Christmas. So he gave me that experience. So I had to close the bedroom door, and we had the tree up, and I heard Santa Claus cursing a few times, and Santa dropped a few ornaments, but it was waking up the next one. I had to sleep a little late because he had some more work to do. But when I woke up, it was just a glorious Christmas. I opened the door, and it was Christmas, in the living room. So that was really one of my.
Oh, that sounds great.
I think Christmas is a good time for making other people happy. One of our, I think one of the biggest gifts we have, you talked about, Shelby and 2 trees, and, we just want to make people happy. Giving out oranges, all of that, that's part of the real Christmas spirit.
Yes, very special. And we missed it the last year, and so I'm really looking forward to just having a lot of mystical, wonderful experiences this year.
Yeah. Well, I think we learned on your trip, you and Virginia's trip to St. Simon's, is that the best gift really is each other.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So Tina, let's move forward and talk about the new year. How do you plan to bring in the new year?
Well, speaking of Shelby girl, your daughter, she and this is maybe the last reference, she gave me a couple of bottles of wine, non-alcoholic wine for Christmas, because we would have this discussion when I would be visiting you anytime. And at Shelby's wedding, you know, that I don't drink anymore simply because the alcohol interferes with my my medication, pain medication, and so I didn't. And I got your husband sent me a couple of non-alcoholic beers, and Shelby gave me a sparkling wine, which I put into the refrigerator when I got it, and I think I'm going to save it and open it and just enjoy it. If I have somebody, you know, here, if I you know have a visitor, which is probably what it's going to be, maybe Anita, my friend from across the bridge, you know, we can enjoy the sparkling wine and you know, and think about Shelby and Carrie and their gift to us. I think that's how
that's nice.
I'm going to read. I think that's a good thing I want to do. I want to be reading when the new year comes in, or maybe even writing. So that's my new year, and being grateful. What about you?
Well, you know, my grandmother used to always tell us that whatever you do as the year comes in, like at midnight, you probably are going to do a lot of it throughout the year.
That's one of our
And so she used to say, you know, you don't want to be washing clothes or cleaning up the house or doing something that you don't want to just do all year long. So what I like to do at the new year, girl, I'm asleep. I go to bed at about 10:30, my normal time, because you know I don't stay up late most nights. I go to bed and I make sure that I am well asleep before all that, you know, the shooting goes on. You know how people get out and they shoot. And my dad used to do that. He used to go out and shoot. I never did understand that.
My dad did the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. But I just don't want to. I want to get more rest. I always want to get more rest every year. So I don't know if it works because I've been doing this for as long as I can remember, going to sleep before midnight. I don't know. I think the only time I remember being awake was when the year 2000 came in, because guess where I was that night?
Probably on the computer.
No, I was at work. We had.
Oh, that's right. You were working in the newspaper.
Everybody had to work. Yeah, everybody had to work.
Yeah, newspapers you have to work on the holidays. That's the first thing you have to give up.
Well, you know, they predicted that awful things were going to happen when the clock turned and.
Well, that's why I thought you had your computer to make sure that everything was okay.
I was at my computer at the Greenville News in South Carolina, while Shelby was down on the street with some of her girlfriends, and they were having, you know, celebrations, a very peaceful celebration. I could look out my window from my office and wave, and they were down there having fun, and I was in the office. But I want to be asleep again. That's all I care about. I want to get more rest. So that's what I'll be doing when the new year comes in.
I bet you there are a whole bunch of people listening to this who are thinking, that's a great idea. I think I may be doing it too. You get your rest. That's wonderful, Wanda.
But what are we not taking into the new year? Let's talk about that real quick. You know, I don't want to take the isolation that we've had into the new year. Now, things have been getting better lately, but I'm hoping that, you know, we can do things like take some short-term trips and entertain a little bit more at home, see our friends a little bit. I personally have not been to the gym, and I love going to the gym before COVID. I have not been to the gym since COVID. And, you know, I'm starting to feel the clothes are getting a little snug, and I think I gained the COVID-15. So I look forward to I want to get back into the gym because I'm ready for that.
Yeah, it does feel good going into a new year. Well, I tell you what, I'm not taking, and it's a little tough for me to be honest about this, but I am not taking procrastination into the new year. Wanda, you're such a can-do girl. Wanda she's a real she takes care of things immediately. I admire that about her, and so that's what I'm going to try to do. You know, you taught this old chick how much you can accomplish if you just get your butt up immediately and do it. So I'm not taking procrastination into the new year, and I am taking joy. I am going to take joy with me. I'm going to look for it every chance I get. I'm going to spread it every chance I get. You know, I'm going to look for opportunities to bring joy into other people's lives, but also, most importantly, I'm going to look for opportunities to bring joy into my life.
Yeah.
joy for the new year. I think that's also part of this, what we've been through the last couple of years. We've had so much death and sorrow, turmoil. And I think that, we've lost our joy. Many of us have lost our joy. And it's something that we have to go looking for. That's how I feel. And that's what I am going to do in the new year. I'm going to be looking for joy.
Great. Wonderful.
Well, before we end this 12th episode, the last episode of 2021, we want to encourage you to share some of your favorite traditions online with us. We'll be sharing some more of them because we didn't get a chance to get to all of them. But we want to share them with you. We'd love to see, your traditions. So please, share it with us on our accounts, on our Twitter account and 2 Old Chicks account, podcast account on Twitter and Instagram. And we invite you to share things that mean something to you. Share something that wishing you a happy new year, but also hoping that that you have something to share with us.
Yeah, we should have it should be like a party. I don't know if we have a party on social media.
I love because I can do some dancing in my seat, standing up and doing, but I can do some dancing in my chair. We should think about that. Keep an eye here. We may even get an invite to an online 2 Old Chicks party.
Yeah, that would be great. And, maybe we'll do a few videos from time to time just to share some of our traditions. Tina, I can't wait to see some of our listeners' holiday tradition. And listen, after these 12 episodes in 2021, we've decided to slow it down and take a break. We told you about that the last episode for the rest of December. So we'll be using some of our downtime to do some brainstorming with our producer, our wonderful producer, Kara, to create some new features for the second season, which starts in January. And then we'll be back on our schedule, posting a new episode every other week.
Yes, but like you say, come back strong. Yeah. If you haven't already, please subscribe to 2 Old Chicks on Spotify and YouTube, and tell others too. We really are trying to broaden our audience and share some wisdom with a broader audience. And before we let you go, we want to remind you that Wanda and I in 2020 co-edited the collection of essays, Meeting at the Table, African American Women, right on race, culture, and community.
I got mine too.
About giving people copies for Christmas, for New Year's gifts, for Christmas gifts. Thank you very much, Wanda. It really is a wonderful collection, and it speaks to us, and it speaks to our time, and we hope we give some guidance on that. You can go to downsouthpress.com. That's downsouthpress.com, and order up to 3 books. If you want them signed, be sure to put something in the note to have them signed. And if you want more than 3 copies, we'll give you a discount. And all you have to do is just be in touch with us by email. That's downsouthpress1@gmail.com. If you want more than 3 books.
That's the email address, right?
Yes. That's the email address. Yes, that's where you should get in touch with us. You should go to the website downsouthpress.com with no one on it to order your books. And again, as Wanda always says, they make great gifts for the holidays, for young people, for also for New Year's, and we have February coming up. So we want you to keep that in mind. And we want to, of course, wish all of our followers, all of our listeners, just the happiest and the most peaceful, and of course the most joyful holiday, and a wonderful New Year. And we'll see you in the new year.
That's right. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Bye-bye, everybody. Love.
Bye-bye. Love and peace.